On today's Live Daily News, Tuesday is finally primary election day in Texas. Super Tuesday. We'll have details. The San Angelo Museum of Fine Arts names a new executive director, and students and staff of Austin Elementary and McGill Elementary hold an historic last beam signing. We'll tell you what that's all about. Those stories and more. I'm Yantis Green, and this is Live. We'll get to the news in a minute, but first, need a new or improved driveway? How's your parking lot? That ranch road? Now's the time to get it repaved. San Angelo-based Mac Asphalt and Paving is ready to get to work for you right now. Go to macasphaltpaving.com and request a free, no-obligation quote. They're offering heavily discounted repaving and paving packages right now. If you've been thinking about paving your driveway, parking lot, or ranch road, get a quick turnaround quote while you can save a whole lot. Do so by going to macasphaltpaving.com. In news, Tuesday is primary election day in Texas and several other states for the 2024 primary election, where Democratic and Republican voters select their respective nominees for the general election in November. Since most county offices have no Democratic candidates, the Republican primary Tuesday in Tom Green County will decide basically who will hold office for the next 4 years. Leading the primary election Tuesday is the GOP race for District 72 state representative. Longtime Representative Drew Darby is being challenged by voucher supporter Stormy Bradley. County Commissioner Ralph Holscher is challenged by Michelle DeRusso, and Tax Assessor Collector Becky Robles is challenged by Juan Acevedo. The Constable Precinct 4 seat is open, and that race is between Gary Cole and Thomas Bigham. Almost 8,000 voters cast ballots in early voting, which ended Friday. San Angelo Live will have live election coverage tomorrow evening, Tuesday evening, so be prepared for that. Also, students and staff at Austin Elementary and McGill Elementary schools signed a last beam going onto the frame of the new building at McGill Elementary on Sherwood Way, which will be home to both schools starting in August. Austin and McGill are being combined, as are Altaloma and Fannin. The last beam is a symbolic move marking the combining of those schools. You can read more on that story at sanangelolive.com. And have you downloaded the all-new San Angelo Live mobile app yet? It's now available on the Apple App Store and at the Google Play Store, so all iPhone and Android users can have all the latest news delivered directly to one app on your phone. That's the all-new San Angelo Live app available now. Also, the San Angelo Museum of Fine Arts Board of Directors has named a new executive director. The museum board announced the hiring of Josefa Gonzalez Mariscal to run the museum. Last August, the board hired Alex Freeman. Freeman was terminated by that same board after 20 days on the job. Read more details on sanangelolive.com. Turning to weather, look for partly cloudy skies this afternoon and Tuesday with highs in the lower 80s. There is a slight chance for some thunderstorms in the east and southeastern counties of the Concho Valley, but San Angelo should remain dry until Wednesday night. There is a 30% chance of rain after midnight Wednesday night, and then a 50% chance of thunderstorms on Thursday, so be prepared for that. When we come back, we'll have an interview segment and sports, but first, here's a word from the Bass Bunch.
2024 means savings galore at Jim Bass Nissan. Why not drive off our lot in a new 2024 Nissan Frontier, priced right at just $33,999. While you're here, be sure to ask about 2.9% APR financing. This truck offers a mid-size truck with full-size truck capabilities. Hurry! These are limited offers, and you can only get these deals at Jim Bass Nissan at the corner of Houston Hart at Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
The Angelo State Rams baseball team won their road series against UA Fort Smith over the weekend. Despite falling behind in multiple games during the four-game series, the Rams overcame those deficits to claim 3 out of 4 Lone Star Conference matchups. Head coach Kevin Brooks talked about the Rams' performance at his press conference at the Janelle Center on Monday. Let's take a look.
I feel like we're getting closer to sort of getting on a little bit of a roll, and then to win the last three and have a chance to sort of start a winning streak is important. So, big thing is we gain ground on everybody in the conference except for one team, and continue to do that. So we're excited with the progress and hope to continue it this week.
Brooks says that while the Rams are playing better, they need to continue to put games together if they want a chance at another conference championship. The Rams return home this weekend to host Oklahoma Christian for a 4-game series. Game 1 is scheduled for Friday at Foster Field. First pitch will be at 6:30 p.m. on Friday. And for more sports around the Concho Valley and beyond, be sure to check in every day at sanangelolive.com/news/sports.
This month only, mix and match cleaning and disinfecting services and save big with Carpetech. For example, get your carpet clean, save 10%. Get your carpet and tile clean, save 15%. Or get your carpet and tile and air ducts clean, save 20%. Call Carpetech today, 325-735-5142.
If your home is in a red, call Carpetech, yeah.
It's hard to believe how reckless some people can be and how hard they fight against real victims. You need a partner who consistently beats the giants and who will never, ever flinch.
Well, welcome back. I'm Joe Hyde. I'm the publisher and founder of San Angelo Live. And on today's interview segment, we have none other than the great Ryan Newlin of ERA Newlin and Company. That's a real estate office here in town. And the reason why Ryan is apropos to bring on for the news is a big thing that drives our economy is the real estate market. And specifically, since we have a housing shortage, so to speak, we talk about residential housing, housing affordability, things like that. So Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we definitely have a housing shortage. I think everywhere in the country has a housing shortage.
Yeah, why is that? Is it all the illegals pouring across the border?
No, I don't know. I think it's been happening for years. There's more. The population is growing too fast for the housing that is being built. So
okay. So do you think that we ought to have some special kind of housing? Like in Mexico, for example, they have a housing shortage, and so they make these little 500 square foot bungalows around factories.
Well, I don't know. I think we need. Typically in San Angelo, we have these big, 7,000-8,000 square foot lots. Like there's a need, I think, for smaller lots, and I think there are some builders here trying to get that done to where you can build a house on 2,500 square feet.
One of the things Tyler Johnson over at the appraisal district told me, he said if we would build more houses that are 1,500 square feet or less, those houses aren't hit as hard. This is what he said. With the property value increases. Yeah. He goes, what's happening is these 24, 25, 3,000 square foot houses, and that's where a lot of people have. That's the heart of where the valuations are going up.
But really, most houses being built right now in town, I think, are closer to 1,500 square feet. Right. There's quite a few 1,500 square feet and less being built in the north side of town. In the new area out in Southland, they're 1,500 to 1,600 square foot.
Speaking
and even Bentwood's only 2,000 square feet right now.
Really?
They're building on Riviera for, 1,900 to 2,100 square feet, I think. So.
Okay. Just thought about this. What about that new subdivision up there by Paul Ann where they're building the special Aussie stones?
The Aussie stones?
Yeah.
Well, he's. I haven't been out there in a week or so I'm sure they're further along. But he's got 2 of them up.
Are they spec houses?
They're spec houses, and I think his plan is to build 100 of them.
So this is up there on the northeast side of town, just beyond Paul Ann. I can't remember.
It's down. It's at the end of
McGill Street. Okay?
Yes.
And you go look at it, and this stone is special because it doesn't necessarily radiate heat or cool, but it stores it longer. So in a dry, non-humid climate, that type of external wall is good, and they're handmade, or they're manufactured.
They're manufactured. They're
manufactured
not
limestone.
They're not dug out of the ground.
Right.
But I think it's going to be neat. He is putting framing inside and going to sheetrock the walls. So you're not going to have a rock wall to try to hang your pictures on. You will have sheetrock, but you're not going to have your typical insulation. Instead of 4 inches of insulation, you're going to have a
big
12-inch block. So
Right.
I think the heating bills are really low. There are a few of them built here already out in Grape Creek. I think they're for sale. But in Central Texas, there's several homes, and I have a buddy that built like a little apartment area behind his house out of one of them, and it's really neat.
All right, so we talked about the east side of town. In the southwest side of town, of course, we have the bridge that's never going to get fixed, right?
I hope it does.
But
it's like Easter's kind of the day people start going out there. So
it's starting to get warm. People starting to think about lake houses.
They need to get it done prior to the end of the month.
So what's a lake house typically going for now?
Lake houses the prices out there are high. Like as high as I guess everything's gone up. Everything's high, but especially lake houses now. It used to be when I was selling a lot of lake houses in the 2010 to 2015 time frame, you would rarely ever see $1 million lake house. We've had, I think, at least 4, maybe more $1 million lake houses closed this year already. So they're paying a premium, and it's typically not San Angelo buyers, although there are a few. It's generally coming from northwest of San Angelo towards the oil field was where we get our buyers. So. Yeah.
Northwest of San Angelo toward the oil field. Would that be Big Lake? Southwest.
Where I'm thinking these days is where I've heard about buyers coming from is the Garden City area. So,
really?
Yeah.
So what did people just all of a sudden they had a couple acres and they got some oil royalties?
I don't know. They've probably been getting paid on those oil royalties for a while, but I don't know. Just for whatever reason, they thought, hey, it's a good time to have a house out in San Angelo that's an hour and a half from the driveway.
And they don't have really nice lakes up there, so
correct. Not a lot of water. But we've had there was a Big Spring buyer not long ago. So, but houses are bringing. I think at one point I looked this year, there was nothing for sale under $500,000 at the lake.
My goodness. I remember seeing a house for sale at the lake that was probably less than 1,000 square foot, and it was going for $750,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was over there by Spring Creek Marina, so it wasn't even on the lake.
And you used to be able to buy those houses for $130,000. So.
And back then we thought 130 was too much.
Correct. So here we are.
Here we are.
I wish I had 10 of them.
All right. So overall, looking at the stats, Banda, can you pull up the stats for the Texas A&M Real Estate Center? All right, so looking at these stats right here, this is over the past 12 months, and exclusive to San Angelo Live because of Ryan Newlin. We have the February stats are just in.
Oh yeah. Got the February. I ran the February stats.
So if you look at it, I don't have February of 2023 to compare, but when you compare,
I've got it in my head.
In your head,
yes.
We're down slightly on units sold.
Correct.
And down a lot on the gross amount that's sold.
Yeah.
So. Do you think these interest rates that have been, the interest rates has been in the news, and most people who aren't in the housing market aren't keeping up with exactly what the interest rates are?
So interest rates have definitely affected housing.
Right.
If you start comparing January this year to January last year or February, that was really before interest rates really started going up a lot. That happened around late April, May.
Right.
And so that's probably where we'll get to those months, and we'll probably start eclipsing those numbers from 23 this year.
You mean we're going to do better?
We'll do better
because the interest rates have leveled off, or
they've come down from what they were, and to some extent they've just become more normalized. When interest rates are 3 for 4 years, and then you jump to 6.5, it's a huge shock. And again, it's not a historically high interest rate, but it does take people a little while to come around to, I want to move, but I really don't want to sell this house.
Also, you probably have to adjust the sales price a lot because, people buy based on their monthly budget. Right?
Correct.
So,
well, I think people are just coming down to the fact that the housing budget that they're going to have to allot each month is just going to be more.
Right.
Interest rates are higher, and sales prices have not come down.
Not much. I do the real estate email everyone. Every once in a while you'll see $10,000 off.
Yeah, there'll be some slashed prices, but again, overall, our average price in 23 was more than it was in 22. And I think, like, if you look at what's sold so far this year, what's for sale, we're going to end up having an increase.
You look at the chart, you kind of see the it's all over the place in the last year. The average and the median price.
I want to say our average price last year was around $260,000.
Yeah, and we're about $244 right now.
Just for 1 month, though.
Yeah. With a small sample.
So, like we mentioned those February numbers, I'll tell you what February we sold 97 houses this February in San Angelo, just residential homes. Last February in 23 there was 111. So, which you're down 15 houses, and then you start doing times 250 a pop. Yeah, that's going to be some volume.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, what is if I'm looking for a home, I want to move across town or change my, I guess, middle school or whatever. What are we looking at for a typical middle class three bedroom house kind of thing? What are we looking at as far as?
Oh, it depends on what kind of if it's a newer house, an older house.
All right, newer house. I'm gonna move.
So newer homes, like I'll talk about one, for example, that just sold today in the new area over behind off College Hills and behind the Bank of San Angelo in the new Southland Village. One of those had the first house in that subdivision closed. It's brand new.
Is this where, like, you go down College Hills and it's all cleared out there?
Correct.
That's where this is?
Yeah.
So this is the end of College Hills.
End of College Hills. It was around $350,000. It was almost 1,800 square feet. So
yeah,
that sold today. That's high. Like, if you look at the price per square foot, it's way up there for the new construction. The new construction prices in town are anywhere from $170 to $230 a foot. At the same time, though, if you buy a house that was built in 2003 in Southland, you're going to be looking more at $140 a foot probably.
Okay.
Maybe $160 a foot if there's been a lot of updates. So that's going to be your average 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2-car garage. And if you're looking, like, there's new houses being built over by the base right now. There's some north of Houston Hart. They're all around $240,000.
Okay. So if you want to live on the southwest side of town, budget about $300,000. If you want to live like over on the east side or north side, $220,000, $230,000.
Yeah, it's the most popular price range right now is like $250,000 to $350,000. That's kind of what you're finding properties for. If you start getting down under $200,000, you can find a smaller home in that price range. A lot of times the bigger homes that you might want just need a lot of updates. They haven't had anything done. They might have some repair work that needs to be completed. So under 200 is tough to find. That's like move-in ready and you don't have to do anything.
Right. All right. So let's talk about the rich people.
Oh gosh.
$1 million homes. Where are the $1 million homes? What's the up and coming places? I noticed during the tax appraisal thing back in June of last year, Iron Horse. Some of those houses, I remember when I was moving here in 2005.
Those are big houses out there.
Yeah, but I was moving here. Those were $300,000, $400,000 houses, and now most of them a lot of them are $1 million plus.
Well, they're
and Iron Horse is in Wall. This is real,
so it's going to be the same. Like we just talked about the lake, but if you go to any of the areas about the country club, areas outside of town, if you have a 3,000 or 4,000 square foot house and average prices are coming in around $200 a foot, that's how you get to $1 million pretty quick.
Gotcha.
So there's not a lot of $1 million houses that sell in this town. Generally, they're going to be under 750, even the bigger ones. So
So are these rich guys that are buying houses? Are they cash buyers? Are they?
There could be cash buyers, but if you've been in your house for a while, you might be sitting on $150,000 to $350,000 of equity. So a lot of times it's they're going to put a huge chunk down and then borrow the rest. So it doesn't have to be cash buyers at all.
So you have people that are moving up from a $350,000, $400,000 home with a lot of equity. They can move up to a large.
Yeah, they might have bought that house in 2010 for $175,000. Today it sells for $375,000, and they've got $200,000 that they're going to not pay taxes on that money and put it down towards the next house.
Right, because of the rules, the IRS rules.
Yeah, they let you sell your homestead tax free. Every couple of years, but You don't have to buy another house with that, but you can.
Yeah. But if you don't buy another house, you got to pay taxes on it.
No.
You don't?
No, not if it's your homestead.
Really?
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Don't they give you
That
like
is
5 years to buy another house? And then after that, you got to pay. I don't know. I'm
not
a tax guy.
You do not have to buy a house if you sell your homestead, and if you make less than $500,000 on the sale, you can go live in an apartment the rest of your life.
A travel trailer.
And you do not have to pay taxes on that.
Gotcha.
So if you sell an investment property, you do.
All right, so let's talk about investment properties. Who's investing? Who's making money investing in real estate in this town?
Well, there's flippers all over town, still flipping houses, fixing up older houses.
Is flipping still a viable thing? The
I think so.
HGTV.
I think so.
People are
yes.
still making money with it.
Yes. There's guys that do a lot of them, and so they're probably trying to make less margins. And then there's the husband wife do-it-yourselfer that want to do one a year extra, and they're all still doing good. So remodeled houses are popular, and especially when you get, a lot of them you see are the smaller homes. So you'll see a small 3-2, 1,200 square feet, and that'll get fixed up, and you can make some money on it.
Okay, if you can maintain your budgets. So
you cannot overdo the budget,
and you got to buy it right too.
Correct.
Right. So how do you buy it right?
Well, you learn the market to some extent. So. Not every house on the market's going to be a perfect candidate for a flipper, but you're going to find folks that need to sell, that don't want to deal with the hassles of selling to a home buyer. A lot of time home buyers are going in and doing an inspection on the house and asking for multiple items to be fixed.
Right.
And some of these homeowners are like, I'm just ready to go. We've seen I've seen lately, it'll be the kids of an estate that they just want to get rid of the house.
Right.
They don't want to deal with getting it ready to sell, dealing with showings and requests for repairs to be fixed. They just want to get rid of it. So those are always good candidates.
Okay, so we're going a little bit into the commercial side. So let's talk commercial real estate. What is coming to San Angelo that we don't know about yet?
I don't know.
I'm not saying. No,
I'm like, on the city's permit website, there's multiple businesses that are still pending for permits. Right. So I don't want to talk about those because it might not happen.
Right.
They don't have a full
like things around like a big name brand restaurant or something.
They don't have their permit fully approved.
Right.
A lot of times they're these big corporations that'll come to town. They're not just willy-nilly buying a piece of property hoping it might work.
Right.
They're doing their due diligence. It might take a year for them to go through, make sure they know every single thing that's going to happen once they buy it. So they're not even purchasing the property until they've already done some due diligence with the city. So
all right. So
we'll get some businesses.
Well, you can't give me any business names, but commercial.
That Starbucks is going in on Knickerbocker.
It's old.
I know, it's old.
That's old. Old news. Starbucks on Knickerbocker. They're messing up the chicken district.
I know. Well, I think there's just as many coffee shops on Knickerbocker.
I know. We're going to have to rename it the Coffee Corner.
Yeah.
Or something like that. What about commercial real estate values?
I think values are high just because there's not much commercial real estate for sale. It seemed like so far this year I've heard people looking for just commercial leases, office space. Want to be on a busy street, Sherwood Way, Knickerbocker, but you can't find any office space that's for lease that's a smaller spot. And I did hear, I think
when you say smaller, you mean like a 2-office kind of thing?
Yeah, 2 offices, a reception. It's people always are looking for like the little shop in the back and an office up front. We don't have many of those. And in the bigger markets, you'll see a lot of those. But I did hear the other day that the Sitel office spaces in the old Sitel building are getting close to coming up for lease.
And that's the partnership between Snyder Technology and VGI.
I'm not even sure, but I know the office spaces are opening up here pretty soon. So that'll be good.
They're going to call it like Technology Tower or something like that.
Yeah, it should.
We'll have to get them on the show.
Yeah,
talk about the. But they got a big deal from the economic development guys to help them out with taxes and stuff. So. Actually, it's pretty good because I was thinking that building was going to stay vacant for a long time.
Well, and what it could do is it could bring more businesses to town that didn't have a space. So, one of the Todd Coles over at Steve Eustace was telling me that's coming up pretty quick.
The Sitel Tower.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So commercial leases are kind of big, and we have a. You think we have a shortage of small office space with like the two car garage in the back where you can have like a auto repair shop.
I think so. Yeah, like a lot of different type of contractors could use that, and it could even be owned by the guy who lives in Bentwood that's got 2 extra cars that he wants to keep in a shop.
Yeah, there you go.
I've seen it. So
The rich guy from Bentwood.
yeah,
All right, so you're on the board for the for San Angelo Country Club.
I am. I'm on several boards. That's one of them.
So what do you give us the scoop, the inside scoop on the golf course there?
Well, it was that, I don't even know how that article came about. I know the updated article was very good, but it's the golf course needs to redo the club. They need to redo the grass out there, and it's old. It's older than most. I think those bent greens are as old of a bent green grass in all of Texas. So
Really?
yeah. So we want to get in front of the problem, get it done while when we can plan it, rather than it just not come back one year. So
So there's a concern that they'll dry the grass will die and
well, who knows about all the ins and outs of grass growing, but yeah, that's what I've heard is that like golf courses, they might not come back one day, so they want to get ahead of it.
Okay.
And it's not even it's not even a full done deal yet. So
they're still working the plans.
correct, they're just again, talk about due diligence. They're doing their due diligence.
Gotcha. Well, anything else in the real estate market I'm missing? Because I think I've covered residential. I've covered what about multifamily? We haven't talked about multifamily.
I haven't heard of a whole lot of multifamily. There's some apartments around town that have been selling, some smaller apartment complexes.
One thing that was on the foreclosure list was those apartments over on Arden Road.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's like a $5 million apartment on the foreclosure list.
Like right by HEB?
Over there by Fiddle Strings.
Yeah. That apartment complex sold a few years ago. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I have no idea. I always go to the foreclosure sales just to see if anything ever forecloses. And usually they'll have like 30 houses on the foreclosure list, and one will be on the market.
Yeah.
The rest of them have all been handled beforehand. But you used to do that in a previous job.
I used to research the foreclosures. So,
did you?
Yeah. No, on my list, the other things I got.
Okay.
So tax time is coming up, where people are getting their tax refunds. It's a popular time to buy houses.
Because you have a $5,000 for a down payment.
Correct. You get a down payment. But right now, and it's been this way for several years, there's lots of different options for down payment assistance.
Okay. So would you go through a bank or mortgage lender?
You can do both. You can like banks or mortgage lenders. There's banks that are offering 100% financing in certain areas of town. There's always been the TSHAC program through the state. It's like a grant program for down payment assistance. The city's got their program that they do.
Okay.
So there's always those.
The city programs through Costa DC. They have I think they pay all of it.
They can. It depends on the situation, but you can get. I want to say it's up to $15,000 towards down payment, but there's qualifications in that. There's qualifications in all of them. You still have to qualify for the loan.
Right.
But if you don't have that down payment or closing costs, they can help with that.
So you go to a real estate agent, they should know some ins and outs of all the programs that are available here.
Another one, when you say tax, that's tax refund, but this time last year, we were all just sitting around. We had no clue that those tax notices were coming out in late April, early May with the new values. So that's going to be coming up again.
Yep.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal last year. Obviously, there was some changes within the states and counties, and the taxes owed wasn't quite as bad as everyone thought.
Well, what happened was the Texas legislature bought down the ISD, the school district, the tax rate. They called it compression, of all things. Believed the lawmakers to come up with these buzzwords, but it was compression. And for example, San Angelo ISD was at 97 cents per $100. Yeah. And they went down to, I think they went down to like 82 cents. So they compressed it down. And excuse me, I hit the mic. It pretty much mitigated whatever increase because of your valuation. The city and the county, both of them raised their effective tax rate. So the way you look at it, there's a no new revenue tax rate, which says if you leave the tax rate if you lower the tax rate to this, you'll bring in the same amount of revenue as last year. Yeah. And there's a lot of exceptions to that. New money on the books and stuff like that. The city had. The city and the county both have payroll pressures. So because of that, and payroll is your biggest expense, because of that, both of them set a tax rate probably well above the no new revenue rate. The county did better than the city because the county had a lot of money from these wind farms and solar farms and stuff like that. So they had a little bit of cash to work with. The city didn't. And then, of course, after the city set their tax rate, the police department blew up on them, you know, as far as police department salaries. So that's kind of what happened with the tax rate from a news perspective.
Well, and so it'll be coming up again. And I think last year they had, I don't know, 15 or 20,000 protests on value.
Yeah, and they're probably still hearing people.
What we've changed here at with the Board of Realtors is we are like, if someone.
Are you on the board?
No, I'm not. I got off I got off the board.
You got off before the drama.
I was on there last year, off this year. But typically when someone calls and said, "Hey, I need help going to protest my taxes," we weren't able to really give them anything. This year we've changed some rules. We are able to help a homeowner with a few comps on their house to help them go fight their tax value. So
okay, so you're saying that the appraisal district will give you some ammunition.
No, we can give the homeowner ammunition to go against the appraisal district. The appraisal district has the ammunition already.
Right.
You would go into your protest and they would have data, but you wouldn't have any. It was just up to you to argue. So
you could go onto the Tom Green County.
You could go to Zillow. You could go to the county appraisal district.
Yeah, and look up your neighbors and say, why are they only paying $198 a square foot? And I'm paying $303.
Well, typically it was the whole street was paying the same, price per foot down the whole street. But those houses had different updates, and so that's what the people needed to know is, if you've reworked your whole house, it should be worth blank. And if your house hasn't been done, it should be worth less than that.
Right.
So
it's
going to be an ordeal again.
So if you get a notice in the mail and your $300,000 home is now worth $450, what do you do?
Well, it depends. I would call a real estate at our company and ask them about it.
So call an agent at your company.
Yeah, just to find out their home might be worth $450. So it's hard to argue that when houses just like yours have been selling for $450.
Right.
It's hard to argue that you're not worth $450. So that's why the tax rate needs to hopefully continue to drop, because if the values are there and the taxes don't go up.
But the effective tax rates are not dropping.
I know, but
But
again, at the same time, we did pay. It seems like we paid less taxes. Like we paid about the same amount of taxes.
Yeah, I would say it's the same.
Even though the value went up
drastically
on a lot of homes, you roughly paid the same amount you paid the year before.
Right, and that was
so it felt like the taxes went down to me.
And that's because of the ISD compression from the Texas legislature. So that's what happened there. But anyway, taxes, tax valuations, all that kind of stuff. Ryan, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And we'll have you back.
Yeah, it's been over a year. Since
you've been avoiding because you didn't want to get asked hard questions.
I'm not worried about hard questions. So
anyway, thank you for joining us. This is Ryan Newlin with ERA Newlin and Company. I'm Joe Hyde. Now back to the studio.
Talking about being a conservative is easy, especially come election time, but delivering actual conservative results is very different. As your state representative, I'm proud to have passed the strongest state-led border security bill in the nation, the largest property tax cut in Texas history, and more school safety funding to protect our children. These aren't campaign talking points, they're real conservative results, delivered. I'm Drew Darby, and I'm asking for your vote to keep up this important work.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo.
And that's our show for today. Be sure and go vote tomorrow. And thanks for watching the only locally owned live news show in the Concho Valley. We really appreciate your feedback in the comments section and letters to the editor. Thanks again for making San Angelo Live the #1 news source in the Concho Valley. We look forward to bringing you all the news again throughout this year. First, As always, have a great evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.